Today's project is going to be skirting the underside of our trailer. This rain is supposed to turn into snow later tonight, and then it's supposed to be a pretty cold week. So to keep our pipes from freezing and to keep our asses from freezing, we need to cover up the underside of the trailer so that we don't have air moving under there. And for this project we're going to use this stuff, familiar to lots of RVers. It's shiny on this side. It's about 1 inch thick. I got this at the local big box hardware store. So we've got a bunch of sheets of this. We'll be cutting it up and sticking it against the trailer. We're going to take these insulating panels and basically just lay them up against the side of the trailer. It would be really nice to tuck them up underneath the edge so that water didn't drip down on them, but things are kind of complicated under there, so we're going to go with simple. We're going to rely on tape to bridge the connection across the top, so with the panel laying against the top, or against the front of the bottom edge of the trailer, we're just going to tape across with foil tape. And that means we have to clean this because we've got about 2 years worth of dirt on this trailer. Nothing's going to stick to it. So first step is going to be cleaning the bottom edge. After that, we're going to take a stick that we found and use it to mark a line underneath the trailer on the ground where the bottom of the panels are going to sit. So I'm just going to press the stick against the trailer and then score a mark. Once we've got marks made for the bottom edge of the trailer everywhere, then get our handy little e-tool and dig a shallow trench. That's going to let the panels sit down into the trench so the base of them doesn't get kicked in when snow starts to pile up around the bottom of the rig. Okay, this is our first sheet going on. I'm going to set it in the ditch and then try to mark where it needs to be cut. Unfortunately, when we built the trailer, we didn't make the bottom edge of it totally straight, so there's going to have to be a few little jogs in the cut. I think that just means some more careful marking and we'll get it all right. Alright, I've heard that you can score and then break these styrofoam boards, kind of like you would with glass. I'm not sure I believe it, but I'm going to try it. I scored through the foil side. There's still a poly lining on the other side, so I'm thinking if it does work, it'll break, and then I might have to go through and cut the poly lining on the unbroken side because it'll be like a hinge, but we'll see if this works out. So that worked. I was kind of afraid of these guys, little styrofoam turds. If you've ever cut styrofoam, you know that happens. When I first made this score, there weren't very many of them. So I thought maybe I'd get away from it, but once I broke it, the raw edge is kind of shedding those. Alright, so the first piece is cut, but I just realized something I forgot. The vent for our toilet, the composting toilet, is underneath the trailer. Instead of venting it out through the roof, we decided to vent it down at the floor of the trailer. Hasn't been a problem, but now we're talking about enclosing the underside of the trailer. So we don't want to be pumping poopy gases into the underside and just trapping them there. So I'm going to have to make sure that can get back out. So I'm going to show you where that is. That thing. The circular vent. That's the toilet vent. So I decided to put a little scoop on the side of the insulation, try and catch the vent gases and let them come out the side. So I'm going to put this piece up and I'm going to tape it with 3M metal flashing tape. Normally I'm a big fan of Gorilla tape, but I think that the metal tape will work better going to the foil and the aluminum skin. and I also think it might not leave as bad of a residue when we take it off in the spring. So I'm going to tape this up, and since it's still raining, I'm going to use a hairdryer to dry where we cleaned the siding, and hopefully have a dry spot to actually do the taping. I think using a hairdryer in the rain is probably just one step less stupid than using a hairdryer in the bathtub. So the reason we're using an umbrella in the snow is we have to keep the walls and the boards dry enough to get the tape to stick, and the only way to do that is for one person to shelter it from the snow while the other person tapes. Here's what the final skirting job looks like. Don't know if I mentioned it before, but we did it with the silver side out. Normally the silver side would go towards your dead airspace, which should be underneath the trailer, and I really thought about doing that, but gosh, it just looks so cool with the silver out, so I did it that way instead. We figure it ought to perform all right. This is what it looks like at the back. Gonna have to cut a hole right here for our sewer pipe to come out. So we're gonna run the sewer line from the dump valve, which has been skirted in here. This backwards panel is removable so that we can access it. It's right in that corner. Gonna run the sewer line back to the pedestal there, and that'll let us dump. We're not gonna leave it hooked up during the winter. We're just going to hook it up when we need to dump, and then tuck it back under the skirting so we don't have to mess with a bunch of insulation and heat traps. Our entire undercarriage is covered now.